Well, as long as you can see Sylvester in the background, that's all that really matters, right? Welcome. Tonight we're going to talk about how the body heals naturally. And I think that's super important because we've talked about a few things. What's going on in MS, we've talked about the microbiome, and you're here listening to Transform MS Naturally, so we need to talk about how that happens. And I've got a little model that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. How the body heals naturally. You know, I get all kinds of questions from people kind of randomly, like, oh, you're a naturopathic doctor, deals with MS. What should I be taking for MS? I even get calls from young new naturopathic doctors asking for my MS protocol, as if there were some magical protocol for all people with MS everywhere. And that's just not the case. I talk to people who don't want to do anything because they say, oh, my MS isn't bad enough yet. Or the people who are waiting, just kicking back and waiting for medicine to come up with the next big thing. I hear things like, oh, I tried that and it didn't work for me. And, I really don't want to change my diet. I don't want to go to bed before midnight. I don't want to exercise, but give me anything in a capsule form and I'll swallow it. Well, you know what? None of that is really natural healing. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And what's missing from all of these is that generalized understanding. So we've talked about how complex multiple sclerosis is. We've talked about the interconnection of our systems, ourself in nature, ourself in the universe. We've talked about what an exciting time it is right now because we've got traditional medicine kind of colliding with science and giving us absolute new direction when we're talking about MS. But we've all been raised in this modern medical model, which is that got a headache, take a pill, right? That sort of quick relief culture. And I'm guilty too. Good grief, especially if there's pain involved, you want it to go away fast. But it just leads us to think that way, to think that it's all about a quick fix. And then if that doesn't happen, we all get panicky, right? So what we're going to talk about today is about a journey, okay? The most fascinating thing that I've learned in my almost 40-year now journey with multiple sclerosis is that it doesn't matter how bad things get. They can always get better, but nobody ever tells you that, do they? So I want to build health confidence today. I want to build understanding, and I want you to know how the body heals. And that's why we're going to talk today about the therapeutic order. So anyway, let's look at this triangle about how the body heals naturally from the bottom up. This, by the way, is something I learned about from my mentors 25 years ago, okay? So at the very base, that which makes us the strongest is reestablish the foundations of health and remove obstacles to health. And in old naturopathic speak, we used to say remove obstacles to cure, but that can get kind of confusing because as naturopathic doctors, we actually understand how the body heals and understand a trajectory to cure, where a cure in the medical model is a couple of weeks without symptoms. So we want to reestablish that health. The next one up is we want to stimulate the healing power of nature. And this is the body's innate healing mechanisms. The next one up is where we get a little bit more serious and we want to start supporting and nourishing weakened or damaged organ systems. Then we want to correct structural integrity. And then, and only then, and you'll notice this is the fifth step, do we actually start talking about prescribing natural substances for disease rather than health. And then the next are more dramatic and heroic pharmaceutical and surgical intervention. This is called the therapeutic order. And why this is exciting, why it's exciting for me that you understand this, is you understand natural healing beyond swapping supplements, okay? I want it to empower you to, with an attitude and a plan, to be able to say, okay, maybe today's not a great day, but I know what it is, or I know what it is I need to do. And it will actually help to heal the body along the way. So when we're just dumping supplements down your gullet, we're not really healing your body. We might be keeping those symptoms at bay, but when we're actually changing the trajectory of the path that your body's on, that's called healing. Okay, so let's look at these things. The first step of the therapeutic order is to reestablish the foundations of health and remove obstacles to health or to cure. And most commonly, the areas that need work here are diet, our sleep, our sedentary habits, excessive stress or building resiliency, working on your social support so that you're not living in isolation, and spiritual disharmony. You wouldn't believe what I've heard here. You know, I've heard all kinds of bartering when it comes to removing obstacles to cure. Like my favorite one was, I'll do anything you tell me, just don't ask me to change my diet. I'm good. I'll take anything you want. Just don't ask me to change my diet. Or, you know what? I'll do anything you ask. Just don't ask me to stop drinking the 24 beer a week that I drink. So this is where a lot of negotiation goes on, because a lot of these things are deeply entrained habits that we've got sometimes since childhood. Maybe they're even addictions. You know, there can be a lot of addiction involved here. So that's it. That's the foundation. And you could see from this that you could spend years working on that. So what I encourage people to do is get started on those, and then they're always the things that you're coming back to through the process, right? Where you quote unquote fall off the wagon and you get back up. Those are all foundational things. The second layer on this triangle is stimulate the healing power of nature, or the body's innate healing mechanism. So that's what the healing power of nature does, is it stimulates your systems. And this is where the king of this, or the queen of this, is the castor oil pack. And I cannot emphasize enough how important the castor oil pack is to healing. There's not a system in the body that isn't positively impacted by that castor oil pack. The other day when I was fooling around, I dug back into the archives, and I hope you've had a chance to look at the video that I posted that I did about 5 years ago with Marisol, Dr. Marisol. Dr. Marisol is the castor oil queen, and we had a great video. We had a lot of fun doing that video. So please, the castor oil pack. The other things that I get people in my practice to do are dry skin brushing. Dry skin brushing is just a gentle brushing of your skin from the tips of your fingers into your breastbone, from the tips of your toes up to your abdomen, as much as of your torso as you can get, to move the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is big when it comes to the immune system, because it's the internal garbage disposal of the body. So all of that stuff is going to get paraded by the immune system, and it's whether we can get rid of it or not that's going to keep the immune system from reacting and causing an inflammatory environment with that stuff. So dry skin brushing, super, super important. Finding a point of stillness in the day, whether that's meditation or prayer or deep breathing or a walk outside, just finding that point of stillness. Our lives are non-stop. Non-stop doesn't allow the body's innate healing mechanisms to come online, right? That's stress response. So these are things that take that stress response down a notch. I also encourage people to connect with nature every day. Find a place in nature that makes you feel good, and look around. Close your eyes, listen. You know what? You don't even have to go far. You can go and stand on your back stoop, open your back door, and look into your backyard. Look at it with different eyes. Hear it, feel it, smell it, taste it. And that's all stimulating your body's natural healing mechanisms. On the third layer of this triangle, we have support and nourish weakened or damaged organ systems. And this is where, as a naturopathic yes, I'm sorry, I just saw grounding. Grounding's absolutely lovely, lovely, lovely. And it goes back thousands of years. It's back in trend again, yay. But the Chinese used to encourage you to walk barefoot in the morning dew, and that gets you that grounding. Sorry, didn't mean to jump all over the place there. So back to supporting and nourishing weakened or damaged systems. As a naturopathic doctor, this is where I spend most of my therapeutic time, identifying those systems that are weakened or damaged, and then being really specific with therapeutics to take it along. I always look at things as, what am I doing here? Am I being corrective, or am I being supportive? Because remember all that interconnection of systems. You might have to support this system over here while we're correcting this one down here. So this is where I use the words open the doors and windows. We want to allow our body to get rid of its total toxic burden, because at the end of the day, it's that total toxic burden that starts to change how your body functions, right? It messes around with all of your body's biochemistry and literally changes how things fire. So I don't like to use the word detoxification, but essentially that's what we're doing on a cellular level. This is not a blow it out your shorts health food store detox kit. This is about being strategic and specific. I happen to use a lot of biotherapeutic drainage remedies because I can get really specific with them. I love gemotherapies. Gemotherapies are herbal medicines that are made by the tissues that have the most potential. So the buds, the new roots, the new bark, they're very invigorating and rejuvenating to the body. So this is probably, unless you're a healthcare provider, this is probably somewhere where you want to get some help with people. But at this point, we're still rejuvenating. We're still in seeing what you got. We're seeing how your body responds, what your body's capable of. We're building the vital force, which of course is the bottom line for everything. At the same time as you are stimulating the healing power of nature by all the self-care items and establishing that foundation with diet and sleep and all of those things. So you can see that we're really busy. We're really busy at this point. Our next level is called correcting structural integrity. And this is exactly what it sounds, is getting hands on you to help things along. This might be my favorite, and one that I recommend all the time is osteopathy. Osteopathy and naturopathy come from the same root. One just went more physical, one hands-on, one went more clinical, but they both have the same thing in mind, which is get to the root of the cause. And osteopaths are magnificent therapists. I mean, they're the master palpators, and they can put their hands on you and not only feel the muscle and the bone and what's going on, but they can feel the forces that are misaligning them or the forces that are causing those tissues distress. So that's top shelf for me, an osteopath. I was at my osteopath today, in fact, before we started. Massage therapy, of course, helps to move and helps in that detoxification process. Oh, and it's relaxing, right? Other manual therapies might include, well, some people do chiropractic. I'm a big fan of reflexology, and there's actually a really great study out there that was done, I believe it was through Harvard, that actually did reflexology over a period of 6 weeks, I believe, on people with multiple sclerosis, and showed a statistically significant reduction in symptoms. So all of these manual therapies, which, by the way, have also been around for hundreds, in some cases thousands of years, are also coming back into the mainstream. And then you'll notice, here we go again, at the fifth level of this triangle, that's the first time where we're talking about, what do they say? Prescribed natural substances for disease. So up until now, we've been bringing more health in, right? More health in. And in my personal experience, a lot of people do really, really well in those first 4 layers. And they never even get to like disease management, right? Because things are shifting and changing and life is pretty darn good. But that's when we get to the prescribing specifically for a weakened vitality, for damaged tissues. So that's more of a supportive role. And it's out of my scope. Pharmaceuticals and surgery, probably a good thing. I'd be a lousy surgeon, but that's when things get more dramatic. So you can see here the natural progression. Does that make sense to you guys? Does that help you understand what natural healing is? Because I just really don't want you to think that natural healing is how many supplements you can take in a day. It's about supporting your body. It's about igniting your body's natural capacity to heal and then facilitating that along the way. And you know what? That'll go up and down as well. You know what? You might have a particularly warm and stinky August, which gives you a setback. But then you know what you've got to do. You've got to relax. You've got to de-stress. You've got to get your castor oil pack on. Your castor oil pack is your solution to lots and lots of things. So it really does help immensely in the whole healing journey. Do you have any particular questions, Mike, that are coming up?
No, there's a lot of comments, a lot of likes and loves.
Okay.
Lorianne Reese is ready for the journey.
Beautiful word, Lorianne. That's the word. This is a journey, folks. This is not a sprint. There's no finish line like around the corner. This is about listening to your body, absolutely, and knowing how to respond to that, and not going to that freak out place where, this whole MRI every 6 months is like before my time. I never got hooked by that. So like the last time I saw a neurologist was about 31 years ago, and that's okay because I made that decision. I'm not telling you to not see a neurologist. You can do whatever you want. I just looked at it and said, what value is this person bringing to my life? And well, we could get into that, couldn't we? Anyway, this is all about feeling confident, understanding what's going on, and not freaking out because you think everything's going to be worse on your next MRI. Lymphatic, absolutely. I'm sorry, once again, I don't have names here. I just have Facebook user. Lymphatic system works with exercise too. Actually, it's super important to understand moving the lymphatics. So moving your body moves the lymphatics. Exercise is brilliant. Rebounding is brilliant. Swimming is brilliant. That water pressure is the perfect pressure on the body to get the lymphatics going. And so important. Like if you never do anything again besides put your castor oil pack on your liver and make sure your lymphatics are moving, you're going to be mobilizing that innate healing ability of your body, because it's eliminating. You know, we want to get the waste out. And for some reason, the constitution of people with MS, well, potentially that constitution is weaker, and that's why we end up with the diagnosis. But it makes that that normal natural detox function more sluggish. So, you know, we've got to watch what we put in. We've got to make sure things are getting out everywhere, including the bowels, because that's the biggest detox fire, right? And constipation is a real a problem. I see somebody asking me to explain castor oil packs. No way, not going to do it. Only because there are two great, just scroll back on the group. There are two great videos. There's one where a much younger version of myself explains to you exactly how to do a castor oil pack. And then there's one with me and Dr. Marisol talking about the benefits. What do I use to dry skin brush? It's a natural fiber bath brush. So this is the 20-year-old one is a little bit bigger and a little bit denser. No kidding. And you're just going to gently brush. It's not a friction rub. You don't have to do any crazy sort of circles or anything. You can find all kinds of crazy ways to do them on YouTube, but all you have to do is gently brush tips of the fingers up to the breastbone, tips of the toes up the legs, front and back. I do the necks because those lymph nodes are draining the head. It takes you less time to do it than it takes me to explain it to you. It really does. And you could do it before you step into the shower in the morning, before you go to bed at night. Some people find it stimulating. Yep, before jumping in the shower, there you go. And how often do you do it before seeing the benefits? Well, you know what? That's all relative. That's all relative to what's going on with you. So know that it is working, just like the castor oil pack is working. You know, we don't want to isolate things out. We want to build, right? We want to build a powerhouse. We want to reestablish those foundations of health and healing. Does dry skin brushing make the blood flow? Sure it does. Absolutely. So do the castor oil packs. And think about what blood flow does. Blood flow takes oxygen to the tissues. Blood flow takes nutrients to the tissues. So blood flow is always a great thing. And I don't know if anybody here has any issues with circulation in their feet, maybe. Guess what? The dry skin brushing is great for that too. If you have any edema in the ankles or in your lower legs, it's a great thing to do. In fact, if you have edema, you probably want to do it morning and night. So anyway, folks, I hope you've enjoyed that. Remember, next week we're going to go we're going to have a little bit longer. We're going to have our special event. It's going to be a Facebook Live, and I get to see you all. I am so excited. And we're going to do mind body connection, big topic. We could talk about it for years. I will somehow get it into a good lesson for next week. And like I said, I am going to write us a nice little meditation, and that's how we'll end. So I thank you very much, and we'll talk to you next week.